Hey everyone, it is Latasha Martin. How are you tonight? I am excited about our session that we're going to be doing this evening. It is another session for people who are preparing for virtual service on Sunday. And so I'm hoping that you will take the time to share this post, send it or tag a friend or invite someone to watch this. If you are a person that is in leadership, if you are in a role where you have the responsibility to organize service on this Sunday and all those types of things. So I am excited about our session this afternoon or this evening, and I'm hoping that as we go into this session, if there's any questions, any concerns that people have, that they will share them as we go through this session this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the information that we're going to be walking through in just a moment. And so let's go ahead and get started with our session for tonight. My name is Latasha Martin, and I am the owner of an organization called Vonswise Solutions, where I help individuals and organizations do information or planning around career management. I am doing this because one of the areas that I love and I use often in my business is technology, and I have a passion for it. And so when all of these things started happening in respect to the coronavirus and people can't go to service or potentially may not be able to attend service on Sunday, I wanted to say my yes is on the table. And so this is my third time, I think, doing this session, and we have a couple of more sessions scheduled. And so tonight what I wanted to do is walk you through some sheets that I've created for things for you to evaluate where you are as a church. Then some tips that you should consider as you're preparing for a virtual service on Sunday, or even to support other activities that happen throughout the week. We want to meet you where you are. And then towards the end of our session today, I'm also going to be offering up opportunities. If you're a person that says, you know what, you've gone through all this information, that's a lot of information, and I'd like to offer some additional assistance. My company has extended our hours throughout this time, and I've been bringing on some other partners who can help, who are also very proficient with technology. And again, we want to make sure that we're here to help you as much as we can to prepare for this Sunday or upcoming activities that might be happening in the month, happening through this time as we're being encouraged to stay home. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen now and walk you through the documents that I have not been able to successfully show in previous sessions, but I was testing everything all day today just so I could make sure it was good for you guys. And so if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment area and I will be able to respond to those. But let's go ahead and jump right into the meat of this session today. So the first thing that I would like for us to all think about in these times when it comes to where your church is with technology right now, there's some categories that I've listed, and I just want to walk you through what those categories are so that you can start asking yourself and having some real candid conversations about where you are when it comes to technology today. And so the first group of individuals that I'd like to talk about is the area of the no tech church. Now, the no tech church really is just that. They have no, and I'm actually scrolling because I'm on two different screens. The no tech church is just that. They have no social media. They have no online giving. You have no website, and you might have a conference call. I've gathered this information not just based on what I think, but after talking to some pastors and different individuals who are in different roles in leadership and participate in congregations. And this is how they've described their congregation as a no-tech congregation. They prepare for church on Sunday, and the most tech they might use is a wireless microphone. And then for some that are a little bit more progressive with some technology, they may even go to the extent of still recording their services on Sunday and then burning DVDs so that people can take those messages home. So that's how we categorize our no tech church. The next category that we have is our low tech church. And so our low tech church is the church that might have a Facebook page. They might be doing intermittent Facebook lives every now and then, not necessarily something that they're always doing. They're not scheduled. There's no plan around it, but they are using a Facebook page, and they may even have some other technology. They may have online giving, but it might not be integrated with their existing systems. And what I mean by that is that it might not be integrated with their Facebook page or social media. So there's no real way for them to use their online giving to actually collect in a strategic way their general offering and their tithes. And so again, that's the area where the low tech church is. If they have a website, they may or may not use it. It might be outdated. And they usually will have like the one person who's that go-to person. And they might be the go-to person for a multitude of things. And technology just might be something that they happen to be familiar with. Then we have our medium tech church. So let's go to the medium tech church. Now, the medium tech church has all the information from the first category that the low tech church has, but at this point they may be doing some planning. So what I mean by that is that they might do some plans, but it's all manual, and their planning might just say, okay, we know that we want to go on Facebook Live each Sunday, and that might be the extent of their planning. They could have multiple social media outlets also, again, but there's no real strategy around that. And if they're at this point of medium tech, maybe they're thinking about how can we invest in future technology and software and hardware, but they're not quite sure what that is yet. So they don't really know what to do next. Then we have our category of the high-tech church. Now, the reason that I wanted to include the high-tech church on here is because the high-tech church has all the things that we've talked about above, but this session tonight is not really geared towards the high-tech church. Our message tonight and this information that we're providing tonight, it really is designed and geared for those top three, meaning that it is the no tech, the low tech, or maybe medium tech. When you get to the level where you're looking at high tech means that you are looking at specific professional resources when it comes to your lighting, your equipment, your software. You might be doing things that are a little bit more aggressive, meaning that you're tying your live stream right into your website page where you can take notes, you can do your online giving, you can ask for prayer requests, and there's a whole lot of sophistication that goes around that. And this session tonight is really not geared towards the high-tech church, although I've done this type of work with my clients in the for-profit world. I'm usually at this point talking to vendors who are experts in each of those areas. And so I would say that our information tonight is probably not for you. So let's just go into next some things that should be considered for all types of churches. So if we're looking at all of the different types of churches, here's some things that all of you can consider. And let's go ahead and start listing and going through some of the things that you consider, some of the tips that all churches should consider. The first one is for you to be honest. And when we're talking about being honest about where you are, the key here is not to compare yourself to another organization, another congregation. There is, when you think about being honest, this is the time that I want to have you give yourself a pass and even tap yourself on the shoulder, because tonight, even listening to this session means that at least you have the desire to want to be able to support your Sunday service if you're not able to go into the building. This is where we want to make sure that you are having some conversations with the leaders in the church to identify and really evaluate where is your congregation if you were to begin to bring in technology, and what really would work best for them to have a good service experience on Sunday if they can't come to church. And when we're thinking about future state, when the church does open back up and when we are able to go back and traditionally worship, what are some of the things that we want to consider now that we can continue to do and perhaps even expand on? But again, what you want to do and how you evaluate where you are depends on a few things, with who you can depend on as volunteers. What is your budget? What skills do these people have? And then how much time do they have that they can dedicate to are supporting a virtual service, and you'll see what those alternatives are in just a little bit later in our presentation. The next thing that you want to make sure that you're thinking about is making a plan. So when it comes to you creating a plan in the beginning, if you have no tech or low tech, I would encourage you to make sure that your plan is simple. You don't want to create this complicated project plan that overwhelms everyone because it has so many details that people get hung up in that and they get stuck in the planning and they can't produce what they need to do in order to execute a virtual service on Sunday. And so when we talk about making this plan for right now, what that could include are just what are some tasks that you need to do? What are the responsibilities connected to those tasks? And who would be the owner of each one of those tasks? That's all you need at this point for the plan. Keep it simple. If you're not a tech church and you don't even use software, this plan can be written down on paper. And the big piece is just make sure that everyone can see who's involved with the planning, what the plan is, and who's responsible for what. And then the next thing that is really important, especially in these times where it seems like information is changing minute by minute, hour by hour, day after day, we want to make sure that as you're planning for Sunday, right now there are still some churches and some leaders that I've talked to that still have a plan to have service this Sunday. But let's just say that you're thinking you're going to have service this Sunday and you have a couple of weeks and then you find out tomorrow, oh no, we cannot go into the building. You want to make sure that the people that are working on the tech plan, especially if you have no technology or you're low tech right now, they are the types of individuals who are flexible. And they understand that as the requirements change about when we can go out and when we can't, that they're flexible and they can adapt to changes in the plan. And even when you think about creating your technology plan, there's going to be some things, what I always say, you can make a plan, but you're going to need flexibility with technology because you never know when it's just not going to act right. And so then the next thing that we think that I believe is really important is as you are building out these plans and you want to make sure that you're flexible, you also want to build in time to practice. Practice what the technology is, what your strategy is, who's responsible for what, who could be your backup in case something happens to someone and they're not available to be there. And then also on Sunday, an hour before you plan to go live in whatever virtual types of tools and experience that you want to create, you're there at least an hour early to try out everything, test stuff, because the best plans in the world when it comes to technology, you could press the go button and something could go wrong. So if you give yourself that hour, it gives you some time to do some troubleshooting and to come up with a contingency plan. The other thing is this is not the time to do a solo act. I really would encourage you to make sure that you have other people that you can depend on. And what I've been saying in previous sessions is the people that you can depend on to create a virtual experience for Sunday may or may not attend your service regularly. This is a great time for you to reach out to people that you know feel comfortable with technology, that might be a friend or family member, and say, hey, this is what our church is trying to do. Can you help? And wouldn't the bonus be if they get to learn who Jesus is in the process? But again, you want to make sure that you're depending on others, whether they're in your congregation or outside of your congregation. But some things that you want to make sure are important when you're depending on others is you clearly define what your ask is for them. You don't want to, again, just depend on one person, and let people perform themselves out of the job. Meaning, don't assume that I don't know if Sally can do this because they're too old, they're too young, they're too this, they're too that. Let them show up in a way where they actually say, okay, they've tried, and their performance is what takes them out of the opportunity, not just your assumptions about them, because you may be surprised who you can depend on utilizing a virtual service and the technology and the tools required in order for you to have a successful experience. And then the next thing that's really important that we want you to think about is when it comes to you going into this area of technology, when I'm saying that, it goes from the software to the hardware. If you have low tech or no tech or even medium tech, I'm encouraging you not to go out and bust the budget by spending thousands and thousands of dollars right now. What we're going to show you on the next page is how you can invest in some things that are free or very low cost. And as your congregation or the need for your online services grow, that's when you expand what technology and software and tools and strategy that you will create. So again, you want to make sure that you grow as you go, and don't just go ahead and jump into everything now, because it can be overwhelming, and quite frankly, it can stress you out to the point where you're just like, I don't think that I necessarily want to push forward in this. Then the next tip that we have for you is, after you have launched your first virtual session, I would encourage you to make sure that you build out time for a debrief. And when we're talking about a debrief, it's looking at what your plan was for that service, and then ask yourself, how did it go? What went well? What didn't go well? As well as, you want to make sure that you can listen to your congregation. Listen to your congregation. And as they have feedback for you, if you can adjust, or if you can't, just be honest with them as to where you are as a church. And you never know, maybe they have skills that can help you to develop stronger virtual solutions versus you just not listening to what the congregation is saying. The last step that I think we have on this page is making sure that you set up systems based on a business structure. And so what I mean by that is, on the next page, when we start talking about the evolution of your virtual and technology solutions, you want to make sure that you are setting up your systems with the framework of, it's not about a person, but you're setting up your systems like a business. So what does that mean? You shouldn't be using any personal email addresses. I would encourage you to create something that is tied to the church itself. You'll see that I'm calling it a handle, meaning that across whatever social media platforms and email and your website, all of those, the names or the verbiage or the handle that you use are very much the same. For myself, I use the handle Latasha 115959. So anywhere that if you were to Google that, inside of Google, you will see my name, you'll see my picture, because it's consistent on a lot of platforms that I use. I would encourage you to do the same thing for your church. You can go on Gmail, you can use a Gmail service for right now as step one, and you could just say the name of your church at gmail.com. They've also got great free tools if you can't access your church office phone number from home. What you can do is get a Google voicemail or a Google phone line, which you can associate that with the church as well, meaning that you can have the number hopefully forward, or have the message on your church phone. It can refer people to call this Google number, and all of that information should be set up in a business format, aligning it with your church. The next thing you want to make sure is that you want to start to begin to collect information from your audience and from your congregation, meaning that you want to know what are their email addresses. You want to know what are their cell phone numbers, what are their addresses. You want to start collecting this information so that as your tech plan continues to grow and you're using different tools and software, you can make sure that you can communicate with your congregation with ease, because you've already got this information. And so if you have to transition from one service or software to another, you already have the information that you need to upload into these systems to use technology to really enhance the virtual solutions, as well as staying in connection with your congregation differently than what you might be doing right now. So those are some tips that everyone should consider, no matter what level of tech you're at. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over and talk specifically about whatever level of tech you are, some things you can do and begin to consider as you are moving along this technology path. So let's go ahead and start to take a look at those. So the first group that I would love for you to look at is our no tech. So if you are a congregation that has no technology right now, my step one for you is to just start with something basic like a Facebook page. And on the Facebook page, there's usually, if you set it up the right way, you'll have an option to add a donate now button. Now, the only way you have the option to have a donate now button is that your organization or church has to be a 501c3. Facebook will have you set up your account that way, and then it will give you the option to say that you're a nonprofit, a 501c3. It gives you the ability to say that add that donate now button. And what you can do in the beginning when it comes to collections is, I'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes, but you can actually have that, add that donate button now, and on it you can create a link to take you to whatever online giving application you feel comfortable using. Or you can just have it where it takes them to another page on your website that gives an address if people want to mail in their donations in the beginning. Again, we're talking about the No Tech Church. These are some simple ways that you can begin your technology journey. The next thing that I would encourage you not to do at this point is to do not go out and buy all these fancy cameras and lighting systems and green screen kits and mics and all of this stuff. I would encourage you, don't do that right now. In the beginning, if you're just beginning to do your recordings, there's a couple of things you can consider. The first thing is you can stream on Facebook Live on Sunday, but I would encourage you to set up an event for the Sundays so that they'll be waiting, or they'll get an alert that it's time that you're streaming on Facebook. And to record that right now, what I would encourage you to do is to use a mobile device, either a cell phone or a tablet that you already have, or someone could donate to the church for right now. When it comes to your lighting, I would just say in the beginning, you just want to make sure that if you are in your home recording, or if you go to the sanctuary alone, that you have a window in front of your screen, meaning that if the camera's facing this way, you want to have your light source on the back side of it so that you get natural light. Natural light is always the best version of lighting, but if you don't have that option, I just would encourage you that there's somewhere in your church that even has fluorescent lighting. If you position it correctly, you want to make sure that it is you can see your face and there's no shadow. When it comes to a mic in the beginning, I would just encourage you to use the earbuds with the mic that comes with that mobile device. Again, you are just beginning. You have no technology now. This is the least amount of the investment to get this way. And if you are in a situation where no one has extra technology for you, if you choose to use your own phone to do your recordings for your live stream on Sundays, it's important that you make sure you put your phone or your tablet in airplane mode. Because if you do not, if someone calls or they text you during your live streams, it will interrupt that recording and then you'll have to restart. Another thing you can do in the beginning when you have no technology is you want to make sure that you can notify your congregation about what decision you're making on Sundays, whether you're going into the building, whether you're going to be at home, or you're encouraging them to stay home and you have a virtual solution. So for that, I would encourage you to use some things. There's some robocalling systems that can send out voicemails or text messages. And one of the examples that you'll see there is callemall.com. That's an example of one. We've already talked about setting up that Gmail account. And in the beginning, if you're a church that does not have the online giving, that you're comfortable with that right now, and maybe you have a congregation that's just like, no, we don't want to put our information into the system. In the beginning, if you have a smaller church, maybe what you can do for collection is you could have, 2 trustees from the church that have a lockbox and a slot on the top, and they can actually go out and collect tithes and offering right in a physical box. And then they would do like you would do on any normal Sunday, which is a few of the trustees could come together. They could, go ahead and go through the tithes and offering and make that deposit. And it just might make your congregation feel comfortable if there's no technology. I'm just saying, what are some solutions that you can think of that are outside of the box that can help people right now when you have no technology at all? You want to ease people into it because things that might seem simple to you might be complicated for someone else. And so what's the next thing we want to move over to? Let's look at the low-tech church. So now the low-tech church, what we would say for you is at this point, you want to do something that's just a little bit more sophisticated with your Facebook page. Now, there's a difference between a personal Facebook page that you'll see people posting on versus what some people will call a fan page, a business page. But your Facebook page should be a separate entity. Even this streaming that I'm doing right now is coming through my business Facebook page. And when you're using this Facebook page, what I would encourage you to do is, if you know for the next 3 or 4 weeks that you're going to be online streaming your services using Facebook Live, you can go in and you can schedule an event inside a Facebook page, and you can set it up for multiple days and multiple times. Now, if you have not already figured out a way to collect email addresses and names from people who could be attending on Sunday, what you may also want to include on your Facebook page when you're setting it up and you're setting up that event, it gives you an option for a link on how people can access the event. And so if you don't have a CRM, which is a client resource management system, you could use a free service called Eventbrite, set up an event there also, and people could buy tickets, but they're really not buying tickets at all. But it's a good way for you to start collecting names and email addresses and phone numbers. And then you can start to compile that information as your technology solutions grow and as your online giving resources change. You will be able to replace that Eventbrite with something else a little bit later down the road. But for right now, let's go with the basics and use stuff that is free. Facebook Live and Eventbrite, again, to collect those email addresses and phone numbers and names. The next thing that I would encourage you is that if you haven't looked at online giving, I know the most popular ones that I'll hear when people are talking about the church is Tithely and Giveafly. But in the beginning, when you're a low-tech church, let's meet people where they are and use some apps for collection that they're familiar with. So a very familiar app that a lot of people use is called Cash App. So you can use Cash App with your church, and on that Facebook page where it says donate now, the link that you could have for that is the Cash App in the beginning. Or you can use something with PayPal called PayPal Me. Again, when you're setting up your PayPal Me account, you want to make sure that it is connected with the brand associated with your church, because once you create that PayPal Me link, you cannot change the name or the extension on that. The PayPal system itself, that information could be changed, but when you create that PayPal Me link, that's easy to text out, it's easy to email to people, you cannot change that name. So it's really important that you set that up the right way. Also, when you're at the low tech, I would tell you right now, don't even worry about your website. We're going to use social media in the best way that we can. It's usually expensive if you don't have someone on staff that can update your website. So I would just say for right now, let's not even worry about our website. And so then the last thing that I would encourage you to do by this point, now your tech team should be a little bit more sophisticated. Why am I saying that? Because as you notice, we have one person that could be responsible for the Facebook page. We could have one person responsible for the online giving. We could have another person that's responsible for just monitoring what's going on when you have these online experiences. Again, it's up to you and depending on the number of people that you can use to volunteer. But the more people that you have, it really does help you. And when you're looking for these volunteers, again, they don't necessarily have to go to your church right now. There's a lot of people sitting at home with a lot of skills. And so you can tap into some college kids, because most colleges in New York State have been shut down for the rest of the year. They're home. You've got high school students who are at home. And then you might even have some, what I like to say, some sophisticated seniors who are just love technology themselves, and they can help as well. So grow your technology team by not just pressing into the people who already have other responsibilities with the church. This is the time where we can go in, grow that team in some unconventional ways. And so I would encourage you again to reach out to people that could be on this tech team to really make sure that everything goes together well. Even tonight, wish I had a tech team, because all the things I'm doing over here, the average person will be saying, what in the world is she doing? But we're making it work. So now we're going to switch over from the low tech to the medium tech. This is where we're going to begin to get a little bit more sophisticated. And so for the medium tech church, you would have all the things as the low tech, but again, now what you're doing is you would want to make sure that you're adding in a budget to expand your technology. Now, we are not spending money until we know that the need exists. If what you are doing as the low tech is working and you're getting positive feedback, then I would tell you to stick with that and master that level before you evolve to the medium tech. In the medium tech, this is when we're moving away from our tablet and our mobile device to other tools such as a webcam, or we might have mics like a lapel mic. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of the things that you would consider. So at this point, when you go to medium tech, you might want to invest in stuff like webcams. You're going to be using a laptop. You might be using something like I am tonight, which is a lapel mic or a boom mic that will come overhead. At this point, you might be investing not too much, but in some kind of basic light kits. And what I'm sharing with people is that if you're doing your lighting and it's just you in an office doing your recording and you've got people around you, there's things you can use to enhance your lighting. I got these little lights from Home Depot. They were $9. And you just make sure you have 3 points of light, one on each side and one above you, and it makes it, you balance out your lighting. Or you can just go into a room and there's things called ring lights. You can purchase a ring light off of Amazon for around $100, and it gives you a nice lighting if you don't have a room or a space with natural lighting that's close to your other technology that you're using. But at this point, again, we're investing in some other tools. We're moving away from those mobile devices to your laptop. When it comes to software, it's at this point that I'm suggesting that you move into something more sophisticated than just streaming on your Facebook Live. You can use a software like I'm using tonight. One of them is called Zoom. With Zoom, the thing that's nice about it is they have a version of Zoom where you can actually stream on Facebook Live, and you can have your Zoom set up where you can then record that information and immediately upload those sermons or that service to YouTube. So again, that's just using some basic things. We're still not spending a whole lot of money, but it's getting a little bit more sophisticated than the no tech or the low tech. Again, at this point, what I'm also suggesting is at this point, if people are comfortable with their online giving, you may want to move to something a little bit more sophisticated like the Tithely or Giveafly. The reason why you'd want to move to a system like that is because now you can move away from manual systems and you can begin to integrate your systems. And so instead of using Eventbrite to collect the names in your tithe and offering, you can now use something like Tithely where they're actually entering in their offering, they're entering in their names, they're entering to their emails and their phone number and their addresses, and you can do things to continue to nurture your congregation. Like sending out newsletters, sending out email blasts. You can do all of that in these more sophisticated online giving systems. But again, if you are a no-tech church or a low-tech church, let's just see how it goes for a few weeks before we shift over into this medium tech space. Because again, this is going to take even more people to organize it. Your tech plan becomes a little bit more sophisticated than just some task responsibilities in the owners, because you need to do more testing. You need to do more checking on things. You need to have people monitoring in different places. You need to make sure that your connections to all the tools and the hardware that you're using is working. So again, this medium tech church, it's not for the faint at heart. It's great, but it's not where you need to start. And if the online streaming does stress you out a bit, what I would also say, as you start to move into your technology, you could do something like take your mobile device and do a recording on your phone or on a camera that you have. You can create that. You can upload that to YouTube. And then on Sunday mornings, if you don't want to go live because you're uncomfortable with it, you can upload that pre-recorded sermon, that pre-recorded praise and worship session, and you can do it all from having YouTube stream that link stream right on your Facebook page on Sunday morning. And as you get even more sophisticated with it, you can schedule that so it happens automatically. You only have to do it once a month. Once a week you get together, do all your information, plan out all your stuff in social media, and then it can automatically stream. And you can sit back on Sunday and just monitor and check. You don't have to do as many things in real time. So again, that's the medium tech church. Now we're going to talk about things and tools that the high tech church uses, but please keep in mind, this session tonight is not really geared to spend time on focusing on this area, but I do want to let you know how it is that I define the high tech church. So the high tech church, again, has all the things that the other types of churches have. But at this point, we now have, again, systems that are integrated. At this time, we could be streaming on Facebook Live, but we also could be streaming on YouTube Live. We can be using more sophisticated systems like the one I'm using, which is Ecamm or Restream, or these systems that allow you to actually start posting on multiple platforms at one time. This is when you will be streaming also from your website. So you will be using a website with WordPress plugins. And again, if you don't have someone inside the church that can create this interactive website for you and you don't have the budget, you don't have to do this right now. At this point, you're evaluating what software and hardware aligns with your online growth and need. You would have more of a budget to invest in systems like Livestream, again, Restream, Ecamm, all of these different things that do stuff just a little bit differently. At this point, again, we are now strategically connecting in our client relation management system with our website. We're putting tags on stuff. We're knowing how to nurture stuff. We've got A/B testing. We got a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want to freak you out by talking a lot about it because that's not the purpose for the group tonight. For tonight, what I just wanted you to be comfortable with is saying, here are some things to consider. Now, this time when I did my live stream, it was the first time I was able to successfully let you see everything that we have here. Feel free to go back, watch this recording, take screenshots, whatever it is that you want so that you can capture this information. Now, what I do want to say at this point is that I've shared quite a lot of information. I mean, it is a lot. And even for someone who really does enjoy technology a lot, I get that this could have been very, very overwhelming for you. And so what I wanted to offer for anyone who has been participating in any of these live sessions that we've been having is that if you hear this information and you said, you know what, this all sounds great, but I don't know where I would begin, I just want to offer to you the opportunity to schedule time with me or someone from my team by clicking on the link that you're going to see in the comment section in just one moment. And so if you click on that link, it'll give you an opportunity to schedule time with me or someone from my team. There is an intake form that you fill out. It's just so that I know when I receive that information who I should assign you to connect with you, to give you the support that you need at no matter what level your church is. If you're no tech, low tech, medium tech, or high tech. When you go to schedule that appointment, I want to put the disclaimer out there. There is a $25 consultation fee. The only reason for the $25 consultation fee is to make sure that you show up for your appointment. If you show up for your appointment and I'm able to help you with what you need during that call and there's no additional support needed, I will refund you back that $25 consultation fee. It is simply just for you to lock in your time, and I know you're going to show up, and if you don't show up, that $25 is non-refundable. And so I want to be able to help you. I believe that this is an area that God is showing me that I have skills, I have talents, I know people who can help your people get to what you need to do even by this Sunday. Even if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's Thursday night, is it too late? No, it's not. You could reach out to us as late as noon on Saturday, and we still should be able to help you get set up for your service on Sunday. Now, if you call Saturday night, I can't guarantee that. But up until noon on Saturday, we will be available to actually take those calls and be able to get you set up for Sunday. If some of you are saying, oh my gosh, Latasha, it's still too much, I don't even know, I'd rather go the route of just doing a recording and uploading that, I will tell you that if the church, if I don't get too overwhelmed by that, I do have a couple of people who can come out to your church, they can record you and we can set up your Facebook Live so that service or that message is uploaded on Sunday. But those slots, you need to reach out to us sooner than later. I can't guarantee that you can get that support on Saturday, but all day tomorrow, and actually tomorrow and early morning Saturday, we will be able to help you. So again, I am excited about this. I'm excited for each of you. And I'm hoping that as you are preparing for Sunday, that you just take these tips, trust God, pray to God, and I'm believing that He'll be able to help you prepare for Sunday, because we know that the enemy has nothing on the God that we serve. And so it's been a delight to spend time with you tonight. We have 3 more sessions, I think, coming up to do this review. And so if you need me, please don't hesitate to go ahead and use that link to schedule time with someone on our team. We look forward to working with you, and we hope that you have a great rest of your week. God bless, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.